Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.
Well, it wasn't the best of nights if you're a Calgary Flames fan, that's for sure. But here we are. It's Game Over Calgary. Welcome to today's episode of that. I am Auddie James. I am not the happiest, obviously. My counterpart over here, I'll introduce him shortly, is a little happier, as you can tell by the banner in his background. But before we get started, if you guys want to bet, you can do it at Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook. Football continues, the World Series is around the corner, and they've dropped the puck on the hockey season. Bet pregame, live and play, or on one of our many prop bets. Made for Canadians by Canadians. Sports Interaction makes it easy to deposit, play, and cash out. Join now and see all of what sports betting has to offer. Head to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. So that's sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. Ontario only, 19 plus. Please play responsibly. And on the topic of playing responsibly, a pretty responsible game for the most part from both sides tonight. I'm joined today by one of my Oilers counterparts, a guy I like to go head-to-head with on Twitter. No love lost, definitely here. Yeah. But I'm happy to have Waz from Oilers Nation joining me today. Buddy, I know what you're going to say, but how the hell are you after that rendition of the Battle of Alberta?
Not too bad, honestly. It wasn't like the last couple Battle of Albertas where, I feel like tensions were extremely high. It felt very tame for the most part. So I'm just happy to get 2 points to beat Calgary. Honestly, if we lost that game, I probably the crap talking you guys would have given me would have been a headache. So I'm just soak this one in for now.
It goes both ways, brother. We harp on each other.
So the season series is tied now, which is great.
And it's actually kind of poetic. Like, it's a three games in the Battle of Alberta this year, which is, first of all, a goddamn sin. Like, yes. Why is there only 3? But to add on to that, the fact that there's only 3, it only makes sense that this thing is now split, and it'll come down to one more game in Calgary, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so, potentially. I think that's in December, towards the end of the year. So,
and I'm sure you guys at Oilers Nation will come and
there's a chance
and take over the Crumble Dome.
I haven't heard anything. I've been to the Saddle Dome, the Crumble. I just don't mind it. I had a good first experience when I went there for a preseason game, so I like pocket dogs.
Oh man, everybody! There's few things that Oilers fans and Flames fans can agree on, and one of them is just how damn good the pocket dogs are. The other thing is you don't have to take out a goddamn mortgage to buy food and drink at the Saddle Dome like you would at Rogers. So
yeah, I found the prices to be a little similar in terms of beer, but that beer is always expensive.
It always is. It doesn't matter where you go. First comment right off the top on the live stream here: Oilers win, Flames and Leafs lose. Nothing more you can ask for as a fan. So obviously, Oilers Nation coming in and spending some time with us.
But the question is, are we happy the Leafs lost, considering both LA is a Pacific Division team, right?
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
I don't know.
The jealous and I got to be careful because I got to watch I can't bite the hand that feeds. If you know what I'm saying, especially with this network, I cannot shit talk the Leafs too much because I value my job. I'm just kidding. I shit talk them all the time, and Steve knows that. But you know what? That was I don't know if you caught any of that game. Not that it's game over LA, but yeah,
I watched a bit of it. Yeah,
the Leafs did not look fantastic.
It was weird.
Tonight.
It was a weird game from the Leafs.
It definitely was. You know what? It wasn't a weird game in Calgary, though. Just to talk about the start of that game, you and I texted or messaged a little bit back and forth on Twitter before we obviously hopped on here during the game, and a bit of a different start. And
100%.
Like it was slower, and I was over at a buddy's place. I just jetted back over here to do this post-game show. But the way he described it was they were playing it safe. Both sides were playing it pretty safe. I liked to describe it as like cautious. It seemed like both sides were very cautious in all 3 zones. Your take on the start of this game?
I think it was the best way to put it. It was like I watched that first period, and the first thing was like, somebody do something. I mean, there was a few hits here and there, and it was for a moment there. It was like both teams had 5 or 2 shots in the first 8 minutes. It was very odd. Like, compared to the last few Battle of Albertas we've had, this was oddly tame. And I'm not even talking about the playoffs. Even if you go back to the last time you guys beat us in the regular season, I mean, you guys came out 3 goals pretty quick on Jack Campbell. He gets pulled. Mm-hmm. You go back to last year, it was a 9-5 game. And this game's just a 3-2. It's very calm and tame. And like you said,
uncharacteristic for a Battle of Alberta.
And no team, neither team wanted to make a mistake. It felt everyone was kind of playing it safe, being cautious, which I didn't mind seeing for a change.
Yeah, no kidding. It was, and like, everybody expects the Battle of Alberta to be this big rough and tumble, and we see flashes of that. We get that every now and then. It's not. I just find the way that both of these teams are now, we're probably going to see a little bit less of the rough and tumble. And they're going to beat the shit out of you by outskilling you. Either side will try to do it that way, aside from the fisticuffs and the big hits. Don't get me wrong; you still see it. You still see the back and forth. There was a play with Kulak and Backlund, where Kulak, I think, grabbed on the back of his jersey. Former teammates too.
True, actually.
And they were whacking away at each other, but definitely not the kind of start that I think I was anticipating. I wasn't anticipating the big, heavy hitting and all that stuff, but slower start. We finished that first period scoreless.
Yeah.
And
0-0,
which is, again, uncharacteristic.
As an Oilers fan, I'm actually happy because we tend to always have really weird, tough first periods, tough starts to games. So for me, that kind of gave me a little bit more confidence in the team going forward, not just in the game in general, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And from a Flames perspective, because obviously this is Game Over Calgary. If you're an Oilers fan, Game Over Edmonton is also on as well. Those boys have got you covered over there. But for the Flames, one of the things I brought up on Flames Nation this week as well, and Shot Down in Flames, another show that I'm on for those who don't know. The Oilers are coming off of 3 games in 4 nights. So one of the things we talked about on Shot Down in Flames was, pounce on them early, get the not beat the piss out of them, but get on them early, kind of break them down if you can. They're going to, naturally be tired. 3 games in 4 nights will do that to you, especially when the last 2 were on the road. You got to come home and then head to the Saddle Dome.
And not only that, the game against Chicago was an absolute gong show.
It was.
That game, one of the weirdest games. We talked about that on Oilers Nation Radio and our shows. And like we said, it was probably one of the weirder Oilers games we've seen in a while.
Yeah, absolutely. So. And if you're the Calgary Flames and if you're a Calgary Flames fan, one of those things you think about, get on them early. And one of the things that we said that they had to avoid was taking penalties, because you don't want to give a team who maybe has a little less gas in the tank than you more open ice, more time to kind of dial things in. And that's something that the Calgary Flames failed to do, was they spent some time in the penalty box. And, the Oilers, they got a lot of scoring threats. We saw it tonight twice with Zach Hyman. McDavid had a bit of a sleeper goal that was kind of on Markstrom, but you can't give that guy that shot anyways. But if you can kind of put a Calgary Flames hat on for a moment here as an Oilers fan, what do you think about that? Like, just taking those penalties and giving that potent power play and that potent offense as many chances as they did early.
I thought our power, you want me to put myself in
either way, you know what? It's all good.
I thought the Flames PK was pretty solid, honestly. I think the Oilers power play could have done better, and I thought we saw just how good Daryl Sutter's systems honestly were from keeping the puck out of the Oilers' net. I mean, McDavid kind of took advantage of Markstrom's mistake to tie the game, and honestly, for the most part, I thought the Flames were kind of the better team aside from that last 10 minutes in the game. The Flames did look a little bit more dominant, better defensively. I thought the Oilers had a few too many mistakes that led to the goal that Lucic scored. It was Lucic that scored the second goal, right?
The second goal was a Lucic assist, but it was
that was brutal, right?
Yeah, it was a good play.
Honestly, I think this was just a perfect game of both teams capitalizing on everyone's mistakes. It wasn't like one goalie played better than the other, or one goalie had a sloppy game. It wasn't really a sloppy game from either team. It was very well. It was an even match. Yeah,
that's one of the notes that I put down, is just how close it really was from puck drop on both sides.
Yeah,
both teams played a heck of a hockey game, and that's when you games like this is when you'll run into the whole if you make a mistake, they're going to pounce on it. Yes. And we saw it with the McDavid goal. Markstrom probably played the puck when he shouldn't have, showing his vintage Calgary Mike Smith playing the puck when he probably, and you guys know all about that. Yeah, exactly. He probably wants that one back, and it ends up being costly because that ties the game, and then the wind goes into the sails in Edmonton's favor. And like you talked about, that's kind of where Edmonton didn't take their foot off the gas.
No, 100%. And it's like I said, it was just a weird game. We didn't really take our foot off the gas. We were competitive for the full 60 minutes, it felt, honestly, where at times with the Oilers, it's like, okay, maybe we'll get 40 minutes. And just with how these recent, last 3 games when I'm feeling more confident by every game. I think you're going to have a game here and there where it's like, oh, what's going on? The Oilers are playing like the typical Oilers from the past, but no, I feel like this was a type of game where this is how I kind of expected the Battle of Alberta to go during the playoffs.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Everybody thought that too, right?
More, I guess, is tactical, fair word to say, between the coaches.
100%, because that's another thing I put down is like the matchups were just perfect all night.
Yeah.
Like, and that's something Flames fans wanted to see from Daryl Sutter. And, I like to rag on you guys as much as I can because it's just, part of my nature and part of Flames fans' nature. But the fact of the matter is, Jay Woodcroft was the better coach in the playoffs. That's not much of a secret.
I remember that TikTok I made. I think you
I did, buddy.
Yes.
You know I'm gonna come after you in the TikToks. I'm just jealous. Yeah. That's why. But honestly though, that's a fact. I'll own that. I'm sure a lot of Flames fans will probably own that as well. They were outcoached in that game that series among many other things. But tonight it seemed like, holy smokes, they nailed the matchups. Everybody was, it was a tight checking game. Everybody was covering everybody. Both blue lines showed lapses, but both blue lines also showed that, everybody knows how to play that defensive style. Exactly. So that's a great point that you brought up because I wholeheartedly agree in the matchup department. That's one of those things that was definitely
there. Last game, but it feels like the last couple of Battle of Albertas, it's been really come down to the goaltenders and how they play. In the playoffs, Markstrom fell apart, and then you have Mike Smith having that blunder. The last Battle of Alberta a couple of weeks ago, Jack Campbell, not necessarily all those goals were his fault, but he gets pulled within the first 10 minutes, right? In this game, it was near both goaltenders played pretty well. Stuart Skinner was great, and it's just like I said, defensive mistakes is what cost the team. Yeah, right. Mental mistakes, I think.
And it's just those little things because when it's such a close game, we talked about it a little bit earlier here. The little mistakes are going to be the ones that cost you the most, right? And it was pretty evident there. Before we transition into something else, let's have a look at some of the comments here. So Brian saying Backlund could have scored that second shorty. Don't know why he passed it. Again, I don't know if you can be too critical on that. If you're shorthanded, you're playing down a man. The object is not really to score; it's to kill the penalty. They were lucky that they got the one from Backlund. Great shot, by the way, which was
exactly.
And Skinner and watching it in slow motion, Skinner just about had it too. Oh, he just needed that little extra squeeze. But yeah, either way, it doesn't prove to be the difference maker. The original commenter who talked about the Leafs says Leafs fans' tears take precedent over everything. So
maybe,
if that's the case, then sure. Insider J Money saying he loves us. Thank you, brother. Leafs losing means funny dangle LFR and everyone wins when that's
this is true. Always a good time to watch that.
The best LFR will always be the Carolina game when they lost to the Zamboni driver. Nothing
easily.
will ever pass that, and Steve knows that. So anyway, Skinner looked great as he has all season. I can agree with that as well. I think Campbell has played well despite checkered results. Having a solid, consistent goalie tandem is refreshing. Here's hoping it's the difference maker. Maybe
I 100% agree with that. And I had a comment on TikTok earlier today, and someone's like, "Oh, you guys are already giving up on Campbell." Like, no, that's not the case. It's just Campbell is, yes, he's let in a lot of goals, but a lot of times it's felt like the team in front of him hasn't been great, especially some of those first couple starts. He's made some great saves, and none of these goals have been like, Mike Smith goals or Mikko Koskinen goals where you're shaking your head at your goalie. It's like, what are you doing, right?
Right.
Like, I don't know. With Jack Campbell, I think it's just might take a little bit more time for him to ease into that crease for the Oilers. Like, let's be honest here, for any goaltender, it's not gonna be easy going from one defensive core to another, different coaching. Like, it's just it's a comfortability factor. Maybe Jack Campbell's still taking a little bit more time, and he's made some great saves, some great moments so far, and I don't know. I think it's really good that the Oilers have this 1A, 1B tandem right now between Skinner and Campbell.
And it's kind of funny you bring that up because I think that a lot of Flames fans can draw similarities to the crease as well because, Markstrom definitely hadn't had the start that maybe everybody had anticipated him to after coming off of a year where he received, Vezina votes. But like you mentioned, like it's the team in front of him. It's not just it's not just all on him. And he tended to be the whipping boy for the first 4 or 5 games of the year, which, you know, every team I find has to have, like, every fan base dog piles on one guy when things are.
We've got some here in Edmonton, right? So
every fan base has it, right? Like, look at the Leafs. They got Justin Hall, who maybe isn't the greatest defenseman, but again, we'll keep it. We won't. We won't.
We have Darnell Nurse. So
hey, you said it. You said it. Conrad saying Markey killed the Flames' momentum trying to pick a puck off the dasher. Just makes me so mad. Dangle is right, and what he's saying there is Steve's quote about you're a goaltender, you're supposed to tend the goal.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, like I was kind of like confused on why Daryl went to Markstrom.
Yeah,
I wasn't too confused because I mean Markstrom's been playing pretty well recently. Was he like 4-0-0 in his last couple starts? So
he's been playing a lot better, and like I said, he was kind of the whipping boy, but it wasn't like entirely his fault. I wasn't confused. I was more so like this could go either way, and I'd be fine with it if that makes sense. Like Vladar would have made sense. He'd seen the Oilers. He played well against the Oilers in that first game. But I understand as well the fact that Jacob Markstrom has been playing so well lately, and kind of that last demon, if you will, is that playoff series where, you know, the Oilers had their way with him for the most part, right? And he didn't play his best series. I think it was more so maybe a confidence thing. You know, here, we're going to give you Edmonton. You've been playing great.
Yeah,
like this is what you need. This is kind of like going to push him out of that slump, if you will. And it wasn't even really a slump. But yeah, I mean, one bad play, we talked about it earlier, like one bad play where he plays the puck off the dasher, doesn't get everything on it, and then who's there to pick up the puck but Connor McDavid, right? Like you're not going to win that battle, no matter who you are. Keeping on some of these comments, we're trying to catch up here, and then we'll move on to something else. Flames goaltending and blue line are supposed to be vastly superior. I'm sure that's an Oilers fan trying to throw a little bit of a dig over at all of our. It
is. You're not wrong. But...
It is. Yeah. I mean, that's the. I will obviously say that and take that all day, but the fact that you're saying it makes me a little bit happier. Thought the officiating was poor tonight. Pretty egregious calls missed all night. Zadorov's pick toss, Puljujärvi's elbow. The thing is, like, I hate using officiating. You guys are allowed to use officiating for that last game against Chicago because that was, you guys come out with the win. You guys won that game, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, we did. But the official thing was poor. I can't remember how many penalty minutes were actually in that game in general, especially in the first period. I don't know. It was weird. I'd rather not go back to that because I don't want to blame the officiating too much because we won the game, but at the same time, it's kind of like it's a poor reflection on the rest of the league, right?
I hear you.
In a sense, right?
Yeah, no, I hear you.
Yeah, so it's tough, man.
It is for sure. And one last thing in the comment section before we move on. Flames perspective, top line needs to be better 5-on-5. Now, obviously, you followed along very closely, as did the rest of the league with everything that went on this offseason with the Calgary Flames. Jonathan Huberdeau comes in, playing on a line with Tyler Toffoli and Elias Lindholm. And not that it hasn't been a fit, because I think that there's a fit there and it's just taking a bit of time. But at 5-on-5, that line definitely not the best for the Calgary Flames right now. From an outside perspective, for what you've seen, what do you make of the Toffoli, Lindholm, and Jonathan Huberdeau line?
I think it's a pretty solid line, especially with Lindholm and Huberdeau. And I think eventually it's going to be a line that starts scoring goals. Jonathan Huberdeau had the second most points in the NHL last year, I'm pretty sure, next to Connor McDavid. So I wouldn't be surprised at some point that does become one of the more dominant lines in the NHL. And I think we saw glimpses of what Toffoli can do, especially last year. I remember when he first came to Calgary and he was scoring a few goals, and there was a debate, who's the better move, Evander Kane or Tyler Toffoli? And Tyler Toffoli did have the edge for a bit there. And I'm interested to see how they'll do for the rest of the year. And thank God we don't have to come up against you guys until December, because it'd be nice not to deal with that.
Well, it almost seems like the 3 battles of Alberta in the regular season are just leading to an eventual playoff matchup sometime down the line.
Hopefully.
The fact that there's only 3, we talked about it earlier, is criminal.
Yeah.
But definitely, like, the hockey gods and all that are manifesting something to happen between these two teams in the postseason. So back to tonight's game. the pace I find really picked up because, we talked about how slow it started. The pace picked up after that Draisaitl power play goal. And then, the Oilers really started to kind of control possession, and I find that they not really trapped the Flames, but the Flames had a harder time in the transition game as well. And that's credit to, and again, it pains me to say, but it's credit to the Oilers on being able to take to score that goal and then build on it there. But I also wanted to give a shout out, credit to Stuart Skinner, who
he's been phenomenal recently.
42-25 favoring Calgary at the end of this contest, and that's just Daryl Sutter hockey. Tight defensively, throw everything on net, try to see if one goes in. And he was solid. Markstrom, I think, was great too. I don't want to spend time giving credit to Skinner and not talking about Jacob Markstrom.
Well, Markstrom was pretty decent. He made some big stops as well. It's just that one mistake that was glaring to tie the game, and obviously Zach Hyman finds a way to get third. But I thought he was fine. I didn't think he was an issue too much in the game. Right, like he was consistent.
Yeah, absolutely, and it made for such a fun matchup because I think that's one thing. Another thing that both Flames fans and Oilers fans can agree on is just how good the content, like as the consumer, how good of a game it was tonight in Calgary.
Overall, it was a good hockey game, especially at the NHL level. It wasn't overly physical like we've seen in past. Like, not a ton of fighting. It was just
both good hockey.
Teams. Yeah, it was just both teams playing their best hockey. It felt.
Yeah, and it was a lot of fun.
Wild.
To watch.
Yeah,
a lot of fun to watch.
I mean, I don't know about you, but have the Flames played the Blues yet?
They have not. No.
Okay, that is probably going to be the least enjoyable hockey you'll probably play. Okay, I'll be honest. Like that game was slow but enjoyable. Playing the St. Louis Blues was slow and boring, and like that's a game I could watch through the playoffs.
That's St. Louis Blues hockey.
No, it's not fun, man. I'm sorry, Blues fans.
No, don't even. I wouldn't even apologize because I have a lot of Blues mutuals on Twitter who are even saying the same thing. Like what's going on? I think they lost tonight as well to.
Oh, good.
God, who did they play? Yeah, seriously, right? And another thing that we can both agree on as Flames and Oilers fans.
Yeah.
Let's bring up some of the comments here.
They lost to the Habs, even better.
Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah,
beautiful. Oh, that feels good. Al saying, fun fact, Vladar gave up 3 goals on his first 22 shots in game 1. Skinner has stopped 70 of his last 72 versus the Flames. But we have the goalie issues. I'm not gonna sit here and bullshit you and say that the Oilers have a goaltending issue. I don't think that's the case at all.
No, it's definitely defensive.
Yeah.
So I find the Oilers have too many offensively minded D-men and not enough defensive. Like I don't mind Darnell Nurse. Yes, he's getting paid. He's overpaid, but I still like him as a player. But like we don't have anyone who's defensively sound. Maybe Brett Kulak, Cody Cece's been good, but like. You have Evan Bouchard and Tyson Barrie. I feel like there's not a good balance on that blue line for the Oilers.
Yeah, for sure. And then someone bringing up the Markstrom has a 6-8-0 record.
It's not good. Like
against the Oilers.
It's tough.
Flame. It's not. It's not great. Yeah. And I find that might be like
that's interesting.
Like for this third game, like this is something I kind of want to segue to as well for this next and final regular season Battle of Alberta. As an Oilers guy, I'm sure you probably want to see Markstrom, but
I want to see Markstrom all the time.
I'm sure you do, and I don't blame you. I can't blame you one bit. But as if you are, was the Calgary Flames fan who is going to be making the decision of who you start, is it clear cut that you go back to Vladar for the final regular season start?
Vladar, even if Markstrom's playing hot, because it's just there's I don't know, man. It's tough because Vladar did play pretty all right against Edmonton. And I mean, it really comes down to the question is how well Markstrom's playing at that point. And when was the last time Vladar started, right? Because you don't want to start Vladar after like a couple weeks or a couple games, right?
Well, Daryl said he wants to try to get Vladar in for 1 start a week, which is different than what we saw last year for sure.
Which I think is a good idea because you don't necessarily want to overwork your goalie. which I think might have been the case going into the playoffs.
Definitely could have been.
And as us Oilers fans, we've seen that with Cam Talbot when he was here because he got overworked in that one season, 2016-17, and he just didn't perform the same after that.
Yeah.
So there's
thanks
wrong.
for that, by the way, because he came to Calgary after.
Yeah,
so.
We've had an odd amount of players play for each other, so
it's weird.
Yeah,
it's really weird. But I wholeheartedly agree. I think I go back to Vladar, and it's not, even if Markstrom is like the hot hand, I think you still go back to Vladar. The Oilers seem to have Markstrom figured out.
Yeah,
and this game, maybe not as much. It didn't seem as much as like they had him figured out, and it was more so just that one goal that he allowed, that he played the puck off the boards, and who's there but McDavid. But I agree. I think Flames fans will agree. I think a lot of people were kind of head scratching that Markstrom was going to get the start tonight, but I don't pin this one on him whatsoever. Someone saying, when does Wolf get his shot? Keep Vladar and Wolf, $6 million cap space, trade Markstrom now. And it's funny that's brought up. Dustin Wolf had a great first pro year last year in Stockton, now Calgary.
That's what I heard, yeah.
But I don't think that's the move right now. You've got Markstrom locked up long term. He's coming off of a great year. There was talks that he's battling. There was a bug going around the Flames locker room. People have been sick and not feeling the greatest. Noah Hannafin missed a game because he wasn't feeling well. So I think it's still early in the season. It's not time to press the panic button on Jacob Markstrom. And I know that he's been the whipping boy for the most part in Calgary. A lot of people are kind of, like I talked about, that dog pile.
It is only game 9, 10 in the NHL, right? So I wouldn't panic on anyone really at this point.
Jacob saying, is this because of his time in Vancouver? It's what I'm curious about. I'm wondering what that's in response to. But he did, from what I understand, before he came to Calgary, play a lot in Vancouver. But not only did he play a lot, he faced a lot in the sense that Vancouver was not tight defensively, and they still aren't.
No.
They still aren't. Some things never change. But he faced a lot of shots. Like he a lot of times when the Canucks won, when Markstrom was in net, he was facing like 50 plus shots a night. And kind of like when Mike Smith went on that run in Arizona and they went to the Western Conference Final in 2012.
I remember that, yeah.
He faced a lot of shots too, and that takes a toll on a goaltender, I would imagine. I'm not a goalie, but I would imagine it would.
Mike Smith is the type of goalie who did better with more shots towards him, which is very weird, but then obviously...
And I feel like Markstrom's that guy too.
There's a chance, yeah.
The Oilers only got 25 shots off tonight, and 3 of them went in, and they ended up winning the game. So, I don't know, maybe... And it's not like the Flames are going to all of a sudden be like, okay, you know what, we'll just let off a little bit, and we're going to allow more shots on. But maybe Markstrom's that guy too, and I'm not quite sure. Wrapping up the show, I like to end things with a little bit of a fun topic.
This is fun.
The reverse retros are out.
Yeah.
The Oilers came out with a beauty, and
I liked it.
A lot of people. I think you're on the fence though. Are you one of those like?
No, I gave it a 7 out of 10. I like it. It could have been better, but I'll take it. I've been wanting that logo back, the oil drop for a Wild Oil gear. So I like it. I'll buy it, and I don't know. I like it because it's not boring. It's something different.
It is different, and I like it. I've always liked it. But I want to know your thoughts on the Calgary black pedestal jersey.
That one I was very confused about because I won't lie. Like I like not even the shit on Calgary. I just don't find it too exciting. I thought you guys were going to go with Blasty. What happened with that?
Well, Blasty's back.
Okay. How many jerseys do you have?
For the first time in a long ass time, the Calgary Flames have 4 jerseys this year.
Okay.
The home and away, obviously, as you can see.
Well, technically, we have 3 jerseys as well. Okay.
Right.
We have 4 as well.
So then they've got Blasty back permanently as a 3rd.
Nice.
And then obviously the reverse retro as well, which pays homage to the old pedestal jersey. But it's interesting. I always like to get other people's perspectives on the fun stuff like jerseys and.
I love jerseys, honestly.
Oh man, I saw your TikTok of your girlfriend's jersey there too, which is another friggin' Oilers classic right there.
Thank you.
But yeah, it's interesting to see because I feel like people with the Flames, they either love it or they hate it. I hated the pedestal. I also hated Blasty. and then it grew on me. I think Noah Adler has something to do with that.
He's always tweeting about it. Like,
The guy loves Blasty.
Yeah.
And then the pedestal, I hated it too. And then I'm like, I only hate it because it's different and it's something that we're not used to seeing. But Flames have 2 black jerseys this year, which is first and I think ever. And it's going to be interesting to see. I wish we would have been able to get.
Well, the thing is, sorry to cut you off.
Don't.
When you look at the Flames jersey history, there's not much you can really choose from, it feels, right? Like, I feel like they had to go with that. I feel there's a lot of your jerseys look the same.
They could have went and done something Atlanta Flames, but it's still the same colors. A lot of people, what they wanted to see was, and I saw a concept after, and there's so many goddamn good concepts artists out there who make concept jerseys and stuff, and somebody made the pedestal, but using the current color scheme.
Okay.
And now I'm like, after seeing that, I was I need it.
That'd be nice.
I need it. It would have been nice. Let's go to some comments, and then we will put a nice stamp on today's show. Here we go. Oilers retro is gross. Somebody's saying. I think that's actually an Oilers fan.
Well, I made an article on that on OilersNation.com, and I looked at people's their initial reaction.
Yeah.
I took some comments, put them in the article, and some people were saying the jersey looks like a fried egg, and I can't get that out of my mind.
It
kind of does, yeah.
I can see it. That same commenter saying the snorting horse is Blasty. That's a good way of putting it. Hyman has more goals than the Flames top line. All right, that seems like a perfect place to put a bow on today's episode.
There you go.
We'll hit him with some facts. Waz, thank you so much, brother. Shameless plug. The floor is yours. Tell everybody where they can find you, what you're up to, and all that good stuff.
For hockey, you can check out my Twitter. It's Waz. That's ITSWO 3 Z's. It's Waz. Then I'm on TikTok doing my own stuff. It's Waz. Oilers Nation. TikTok, Instagram, Oilers Nation. So anything Oilers Nation related, I really have my hands on when it comes to socials. And then I do soccer called the 90th Minute. It's pretty awesome as well. So
it is awesome.
Thank you.
Doing some great stuff.
Awesome. Love to hear it. And then, of course, just check out the Nation Network, YouTube.
Do it.
We're trying to do more stuff there. Check out Shutdown in Flames as well. So
lots of good stuff going on.
Big things happening around here.
Big things happening, and we're gonna have to talk to our boys at Nation HQ about something to do with a Modern Warfare 2 team, because
that'd be sweet.
I'm on board. I've been invested.
Unfortunately, a lot of no disrespect to my upper. They're kind of boomers. I won't lie, man. That's fair. You know I Show Speed, right?
Oh yeah, of course.
Oh my god, I'm listening to one of their podcasts, and they're like, "Do you know about this guy named I Show Steam?" I'm like, oh my god, yes.
Hopefully none of those boys are all wasted right now in Calgary.
Oh, probably.
They're not listening to this.
Yeah.
This has been another post-game show on SDPN, Game Over Calgary. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Hit subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Give us some great ratings if you're enjoying the content that you're getting, and we will see you guys in the next Calgary Flames post-game, which I believe, I'm not even going to guess. I think it's Tuesday. I'm going to say Tuesday. Don't quote me on that. If the chat wants to correct me, please correct me. But we'll see you guys in the next Calgary Flames post